Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Diane.
Great to
How are-
see you.
Good to see you. How's it going?
Okay, excited to have this conversation.
I am too.
We were definitely living the proverb of may you live in interesting times, because they were. Takeaways, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, takeaways, the biggest one is that Shadhika is still here. Shadhika is strong. Our mission never wavered. Our support for our partners and the participants in their programs never wavered. In fact, it increased, and that's one huge thing that I'm so proud of. Yes, it was a difficult year and a half, 2 years, but I feel pretty good about where we are now and how we ended up, and the really strong foundation that has been built between collaboration between the board and our absolutely unbelievably marvelous executive director, Milo Cook. So that's really my takeaway. We're still here and we're strong. I'm going to give you one piece of advice that you actually gave to me, and I have tried to follow. So I'm going to hand it back to you. And that was, listen, that your job is not to solve every problem or incident that arises. Your job is to listen and take everything in and help guide the process of solving whatever has come up, but not necessarily automatically step in. And I thank you so much for that advice, because it's really given me self-discipline, not only through Shadhika, but in other parts of my life. Another piece of advice is don't take everything on yourself. Delegate. You're pretty good at that, and I hope you continue to do that. You know, this is not a one-person position. You may have the title, but with that title comes the ability to branch out and let other people shine too. I think that's important, because that's the way that you get your successor. And I guess another one would be, follow your gut, because it's usually right. So that, in a nutshell, that's my wisdom of the day.
I first have to say what a strong board we have right now. I mean, we have this amazing group of women with such strong expertise that is aligned with our mission. Women on the board with expertise in human rights and women's rights and gender justice, and also with lived experience, I think, in terms of their mothers and grandmothers and families who have some direct experience with the work that we're doing. So I think one thing I would like to feel at the end of 2 years is that the composition of our board continues to represent and reflect the experience of those who we work with in India, the partners, the young women, the scholars. So that's one piece of it. there's another thing I would love to see us work towards, which is the shifting of power in terms of who are the real experts in this work that we do. I think we've gotten much better at understanding that the real experts in this work are the women and the girls and our partners in India, those with lived experience. And we have a lot of power as board members or as a board. And I think we need to think about, we want to shift power to the center of gravity, which is really in the field. And I'd like to think in 2 years, we will have done that in a meaningful operational way. We'll still be saying it, it'll still be ongoing work forever, but we will have gotten closer to shifting the center of gravity to where it belongs with the experts in the field. Because that's the core of who we are and the core of our mission. I think the other thing that I hope to prioritize in the next 2 years, and again, this work has already started, is acknowledging that as board members and staff are in a partnership, and we each bring a different set of, have different roles, and we have bring a different perspective. So as board members, we have this opportunity really where we're not as close to the work day to day. Hopefully our background and our personal experience allow us to understand the work deeply, but day to day, it's not us doing the work. And it allows us to be able to step back, I think, and look forward and see the future a little bit. And so I see, I've heard the analogy, of 2 engines on a plane. There's the board and there's the staff, and each of us is critical, and we're critical partners, but we do different things in order to advance the mission. And so I'd like to think that we, in 2 years, are working even better together as board and staff to support our mission and to support our purpose.
I think that I want to probably focus in areas that I feel are my strongest, and that's in the not just the financial end, but the financial piece as far as making things understandable, making our financial reports and everything understandable for the rest of the board, as well as helping go through the procedures and manuals that Shadhika has already, and just maybe updating, cleaning them up, bringing them, so to say, to code. I think that's really where my strengths are, is, I'm a detail person. I'm not a real farsighted whole world thinker. I like to think that I am, but I know that I'm not. In the life of an organization, Shadhika is past the startup, and we are very, very thick in the fully operational organizational stage. And the things and documents that we had at the beginning have not grown necessarily with us. They're certainly good enough. But I think in order to make Shadhika into an evergreen organization, that we need the documentation so that anybody coming into a role has has that foundation, has the information, and can just, you know, hit the ground running.
I think that's so important. I mean, you talk about it, you know, I think it is your strength. And I think it's also so critical to make sure that, you know, our policies, our practices, our procedures truly represent who we are and what we believe. They're up to date, yes, from a compliance perspective, but that they also, you know, it's this equity mindset that we talk about, where you have things that you do, we all do, you know, we do things a certain way, and to kind of view that and say, is this process, procedure, is this the way that we do this, is this really achieving the outcome that we want it to achieve? Is this really serving us? And so I'm so glad to hear your answer, first of all, because I think it's, yeah, I think it's time. It's time in sort of the development of our organization, and it's really critical to it's critical to how we deliver, because how we deliver on our work, you know, is just as important or more important than what we're actually doing. The how is so critical. Well, I love working with me, and I'm excited to work even more closely with her. I'm excited to be together in person.
Yes.
I'm excited for the spirit of this board. It's so, you remember our last board meeting, just the, and members of our advisory group were there as well. And the connection and kind of the love and the feeling of being in it together was so strong, and I'm excited for more of that. I think, you know, I think part of the role of chair is to make sure that the way that we gather, the way that we share information, the way that we connect, you know, is facilitates that kind of that kind of culture where we can really bring ourselves to the work, bring our best selves to the work, you know, and have the kinds of conversations that as a board we need to be having around, you know, holding ourselves accountable to our mission and to how we're delivering on that mission. So yeah, that's a good question. I'm excited about a lot of things.
Well, I can say that your excitement is going to generate excitement across the whole board. So I'm happy to hear about all those things. We are so proud, we meaning Shadhika, are so proud of what you have accomplished, specifically over the past 2 years. I have seen so much strength exhibited, so much compassion that you've exhibited, that I just want to say we're just very, very proud to be associated with you.
I think I would add only gratitude. So grateful to these young women, their leadership, their commitment to their families, to themselves, to their communities. um, their commitment to equity and justice, their commitment to supporting and helping each other. And I would just say I'm grateful, and it's it's such a reminder every day of how I want to live my life. You know, it sounds a little trite to say it's an inspiration, but it really is. I mean, I every time um you know, every time we get really connected to what's happening with the scholars or with the partners, it's it gives me hope for the world. There's so much power and strength, and it makes me hopeful.